Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. First of all, Merry Christmas, my friends. Merry Christmas. I didn't get a chance to do one yesterday. I'm going to try to kind of knock at least one out. Maybe we'll do another one later this evening. But first, let me wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas, and hope you guys have a great day today and enjoying time with your family and kids. I'm about ready to do that in a few minutes. And I want to just kind of give my best wishes. I think continued success in the battles that we're facing. It is going to get worse in many ways before it gets better, as far as things in the world going, and the pressure put on each one of us to demasculate ourselves and to do those things that people want us to do to become weak, so we can actually, be taken advantage of in many different ways, whether it's financially or physically, whatever it might be. And so you want to make sure that you're keeping strong and you're being that strong, masculine warrior that we all are. So I will give a bunch of shout outs tomorrow. I think I'll go back and look at this last week and kind of give out shout outs and create some new topics. I think we have a couple topics, at least one today. We're going to talk about joy and peace, and a shout out to Eduardo on that. But I'm also going to kind of talk about God in the next couple ones. I think that we'll talk about David Judah, Ninja, Gospel Ninja, Scott Allen, with that God, that women see God in you, and we'll talk about that a little one. And then Tyrone, we'll do this for maybe tomorrow. Tyrone talking about going forward to paradise and how we start with in the spiritual world from OG Air Max. So that's going to be kind of on the list for the next couple days, and then we'll continue looking at supplements to semen retention next week. When you are too aggressive, why is that? Scott Allen had a great one on aura, meaning authority, which I like, and also talking about then Blissful Oasis had one about aura, and I think it's called Disman, and I'm going to look that up and kind of think more about that a little bit as we go through. So we have a bunch of topics coming, and also a lot of them over the next few weeks, but continue giving ideas. I've had a couple suggestions that I saw in some of the text, and we'll kind of come back and add those to us. And I don't mind repeating them, because we're having a lot of new viewers coming in, and it's nice to go ahead and kind of repeat ideas. I will go ahead and get my book over the next few days and kind of show you some of the exercises with Fountain of Youth, because I had someone ask me about that as well, and how to transmute and things like that. So we'll go through some exercises of doing that to kind of help you guys look at that idea of transmuting and how to do that. But let me talk about, because we have Christmas, let me talk about joy and peace, because that's something that we understand with our relationship with God, in my case, Lord Jesus Christ, and my Savior, and realizing, that I almost committed suicide back when I was 17, 18 years old, and realizing that life is very, very spiritual compared to very physical. And I had a discussion yesterday with a bunch of people at a party, and we're talking about the fact that they're asking, through all the, my years, what is one thing that I recognize? And they were talking about a situation in which, you're at a bar and someone, makes fun of you, and, what kind of talent level do you have now as compared to when you were 20 years old? And I say this, and I think it's important to realize that a lot of this is because of the journey that I've taken. I don't really, it's not that important to me. Now, if someone was doing, saying something to my wife or my kids, that would be a different situation. Of course, I would be defending their honor and protecting my family. But the idea, guys, is that there's things that are not that important to me. And you guys are going to find this out, especially a lot of you guys in your 20s and 30s. You're going to find out that as time goes on, you've made your money, you've done this, or you haven't made your money, you're struggling. But those things are not as important. And I think God in the Bible talks about this, that it's very hard for a rich person to go into heaven, because it's like a needle in a haystack. And when you're seeing this, you're looking and realizing it's not that easy to go into heaven, because you have to give up everything. And it's hard for people who have a lot of things to give them up. It's almost like they're idolizing those things, and they're not really paying attention to the spiritual, the connection you have with God. And this is where retention plays a big part. Retention allows you to have the connection with your God, in my case, Lord Jesus Christ. And so because of that, what you're feeling is a whole different thing. And a lot of people have mentioned this. We're in a spiritual world. And my response, by the way, back to the people asking me, is that I believe people as they get older, especially if they're on retention, if they're doing the things we're talking about, they become more involved in the spiritual world than the physical world. The physical means a lot less for a number of reasons. I mean, the fact that you're getting older, the fact that you've had kids, or you're at the point where you may have more kids when you're older, but lots of times it depends on the woman and wife you have. And as time goes on, you realize that other things are not as important. And so I think this is a key thing when it comes to looking at what's important and what's not. And so I think the spiritual world becomes a lot more important. And so what you're striving for is not all the physical things that we strive for. Now, I realize this when you're 20 years old, you're not going to see this. And that's normal, because the world is teaching us we need to get success here, success there. But I've seen lots of people who are wealthy who are miserable. They're not happy. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have that joy and peace, as Eduardo's talking about, and a shout out to you, Eduardo, you're not going to be very happy. So a lot of people during Christmas time, even though they have lots of things, are depressed. They're not happy. Inside, they're not happy. This is why it's important. Sometimes people who struggle a lot, and I know a lot of you guys are struggling, sometimes you gain more of that joy and happiness because you are struggling. And God is with you with that struggle. All right? There's that old poem that you think about people who said, where were you walking on the beach, and where were you, God, when I had all these problems? And you walk and you see footprints in the sand. Where are you, God? Your footprints are not there. And the person keeps walking and keeps talking about all the problems they've had. But then God finally stops and says, those 2 footprints in the sand? They were me carrying you all through those things. And that's what the whole key is, my friends, talking about this, is as time goes on, God is helping you, pushing you through these things so that they're not as important as they were back in your 20s. And a lot of you guys, you're not going to be able to see that, and I understand that, but I'm kind of just passing on some of my information, my experiences. When people ask me, what's the big difference now? Would you get upset with this person making fun of you? No, I probably would just walk away. Unless there was some kind of physical harm or something to my family and kids, nothing important. Because when you look at the bottom line, what's really important? Family is important, right? Your health is important. Obviously, your relationship with God is the most important. And so those are the things you don't want to stop. And this is why retention becomes so crucial from a spiritual standpoint. Because what you're doing is you're honoring the temple of that God has given you, your body. You're not releasing energy unless you want to have a child. And God, I think, has blessed that over and over again. But also when you look at things, you're looking then at trying to get the more spiritual types of feelings that we're talking about. And that's going to be joy, and that's going to have peace in your heart. And those are the things that you start feeling. And I've seen this a lot more over the last 937 days that I've been, with this nofab and, not releasing. I've seen this. I feel this now. I feel such a happiness, and this is why I think that you also look younger, you feel better. You start to have that aura and feeling because you're radiating a joy and peace. You're not radiating anger, you're not radiating hostility. Yeah, you may get excited, you have a lot of energy, you have passion, you may get a lot of, you may get upset at things, but you're really down deep having joy and peace. And that's what I wish all you guys in this holiday season, especially this Merry Christmas, you want to have that joy and peace. That's why retention is very important. And you're going to see, as a lot of people are testimonies left and right that we're getting now, with people talking about how, women treat them differently and respect them, and all of a sudden there's lots of positive responses. People think they look younger, and of course they do. This is that fountain of youth from Kelder, And we're going to talk about that probably in the next couple of videos. I'll try to do one either today or tomorrow on this. But the idea, guys, that you really want to kind of focus on is looking at transferring yourself from just the physical, because the physical is not that important. The reason we say that, God obviously giving you a physical to do things on this earth. But when you look at this, all the stuff's not that important. The one that's important, obviously, is having a child and making something as going on for other generations. But money is a tool. Money comes and goes, right? Women, men, relationships come and go, right? Now, yes, you may be married for a while, and that's wonderful. But that person is not somebody that you own. You're kind of with them, right? And you may be with them tomorrow. You may not be with them tomorrow. But the bottom line really is those things are temporal. Those things are not things that last. What lasts is this feeling you have when you're connected to God. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes you veer off, and God helps you overcome those temptations. But you have to establish that relationship. And I think one of the best ways to establish that is starting with your retention, holding on to what God has given you, and then you can transfer this. And I've seen so many people tell me about this kind of stuff, that as they're doing this, now they become stronger. They can go ahead and focus on their diet. They can focus on meditation, getting into the readings of the religion. Those type of things all become a lot more stronger because you now have done something to control yourself. Self-discipline, which is what God wanted. God doesn't want us to go ahead releasing all the time, in my opinion. God does not want us to go ahead and be chasing women around if you're a man, or chasing men around if you're a woman. Those type of things are just going to hurt you and bring your soul deeper and deeper away from God, not towards God. And the evil one is out there. The evil one uses people. Like I said, I've never judged any person as being bad. I think everybody has great traits. But I think that a lot of people go down the wrong path, and then they're kind of stuck in the wrong path. And so we judge them based on that. We shouldn't be judging anybody, actually. But the thing is that those people are doing evil things on behalf of the evil one. And so, as you look at this type of idea of, Jesus was born, and Merry Christmas, and some of you guys, Happy Hanukkah is coming up as well. I think the key thing really is to look at your relationship with something other than the physical. I think as time goes on, to get this joy and peace, you have to realize this is not a physical thing. I love my hobbies. I love football, watching football, but it's not making me happy and joyful. Right? I love my collection of comic books back from 1960s, but it's not making me joyful and peaceful. I love, interaction with people and women, but it's not making me happy. I love my kids, I love my wife, but it's not bringing that joy and peace. What brings that joy and peace is a relationship to something that you cannot see and cannot touch. And that's a very different type of approach, attitude. And it starts by looking inside yourself first, which a lot of men, we're not brought up this way. We talked about this yesterday with people. In our school system, we're not brought up with a lot of this education. We're not taught how to do a budget. We're not taught how to relate to girls or women. We're not taught how to do basic things, how to survive, in the desert or the forest. We're not taught those practical abilities. Yes, we're taught information, but we're not really taught to think about those things too. And I've been in education for 35 years, so I'm talking from a lot of practical experience here. There's a lot of memorization going on, a lot of just getting finished with this diploma, this degree. A lot of people, they have degrees, but they're not in any kind of field that they can get a job with. So when you look at this, you have to look at yourself and say, what skill am I building here? What skills am I going to help me accomplish my goals and accomplish my purpose for God? And that goes back then to the idea of those type of things in my connection, talking to God. Now that creates the joy and peace. That creates the happiness that you can have. because you know that God is with you. If you know God is with you, and there's more to just the physical part of life, well, then all of a sudden you're looking at life totally differently. So now you're looking at those types of spiritual things that will make your life happier in the long run, because it comes from within. I can give you as much money as I can, and you'll still not be happy. Yeah, you might have a short period of happiness. Somebody will tell me, oh, well, Vigor Warrior, I'll go buy a car, I'll be happy. I'm sure you will be happy for a little bit. Just like you're a little bit happy when you release for the first 5 minutes. Then it sets in to what you've done. And I know in my case, you feel very guilty, or I feel at least very sad, depressed, or something. And you realize, what'd you do this for? Why'd you buy this car for that you couldn't afford? Or buy this car even though you can afford it? Is it really going to make you that happy? Material things cannot make you happy. That's one of the things that I'll leave you guys with on this Christmas day. Material things, even though you're getting a lot of presents and things like that, they're not going to make you happy. They may give you some temporary, I guess you can call it happiness, a short period of time. But in the long run, those things come and go. 6 months later, you'll probably forget about it and move on to something else. And that's why every Christmas we give gifts again. And there's nothing wrong with giving gifts. Giving is wonderful. But the giving is more from the giver, not the receiver. The receiver is not really happy. The giver is happy given. And I think that's another one of those things too, is that you're giving. And as a male, we give a lot. It's always kind of underestimated in my opinion. But males give protection, they provide, and females understand that. That's why females like that so much. They get the attention. But you're providing that. You're giving them that attention. You're giving them those type of thing. And they need that. But you as a male are a huge provider and a huge protector. So you're giving. And that's where the joy and peace comes in, knowing that you're fulfilling God's purpose and you're going ahead and you are kind of connecting with the spiritual world. And as I said, as you get older, as you're on this retention plan more and you're doing this more, you're becoming more and more spiritual by the day. And I think in some of those information I found on Malcolm X and other people, it takes 10, 12 years to actually kind of wash away a lot of things within your system. Now, in my case, it may take even a little bit longer, who knows, because I've had many years of, what I would call bad behavior when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it will take some time to actually go ahead and maybe and wash that through. But at 937 days, I see such a huge difference than it was back on day one that I can't even, it's unbelievable to me, right? The amount of joy and happiness you have, and then a result of that is how people act towards you and how they treat you. And they treat you with respect, they treat you with affection, they treat you with attention, they flirt, all kinds of stuff. You got clarity, you have focus. You're now really kind of using all that, as Napoleon Hill says, and you're transmuting that into success. And this is the key, my friends. Now, a lot of you guys have such an abundance of this between the ages of 20 and 40 that you're really not going to notice this. You'll notice this more once you hit 40. But I guess I'm kind of saying it because I want you guys to take advantage of this now and think in terms long term, be ahead of the game, way ahead of me, and making sure that you understand that this information, this energy is crucial for you to have this, but not in the physical world, but in the spiritual world. Okay, my friends, I'm going to leave you for this one. I'll see if I can try to do another one tonight. If not, I'll try to do one tomorrow, and we'll catch up on all the shout-outs and add more topics to our list that we got this week. And I do it once a week because it's kind of hard to keep track of every day. but I'll go back and look at all the topics and see if we can kind of add some more to our list. So God bless you guys. Have a great Merry Christmas today, and battle on. Remember, every day is a new day to a wise warrior. God bless you guys, and battle on.